left your perfume on the pillow and your whispers in the air. Got your face stuck in the mirror and I keep finding your hair. Got a big box in my closet with the fall pictures we took. Oh, and I keep finding dog ears that you left in my books. Miss your ache and I just crash over, cause you crashed in like a tsunami.
Hi. Is it? Okay. Hi, welcome. Welcome to our panel discussion. I'm Stacy here. You might introduce yourself.
My name is Klaus Rasmussen, and I'm a technical instructor trainer based in Thailand.
I think there were a few introductions already earlier, but my name is Anand, and I'm a PADI course director and also an avid mine diver. And I'm based in Malaysia, Perhentian Islands, and also Koh Lanta in Thailand.
My name is Maxime Cheminade, and I'm an underwater photographer, cinematographer, and an explorer at Bottomline Projects.
Mikko Paasi, that guy, from Finland, diver, mine diver, and all that. Founder of Bottomline Projects, and I run a company called Kota Divers in Thailand.
Okay, we will have some discussion now, and towards the end of this discussion, I will open some questions to the audience. So they will ask you some questions that is not in the list that I've sent you. Oh, sounds dangerous, right?
You sent a list of questions, really?
Okay, so question one. Mine diving is often described as the most forgiving environment in diving. What was the mental shift or realization that struck you after your first dive in the mine?
My background for overhead environment came from rec, and my primary teaching part is cave. The main thing with stuff like mine diving is that because it's human-made, it's an environment where things are built that's not supposed to last underwater.
Yes.
That you gotta really realize that where in a cave you might touch something and it will still stand after. Anything you touch in a mine can potentially collapse straight after. So you have a lot more hazards coming into the aspects of collapses and everything else that happens with that.
Yeah, so for me, when I really realized that you needed that I had a mental shift was, so I dived, my first foray into mine diving was at the Boyai mines in Kanchanaburi, but I came back to Malaysia and dived Sungai Lembing, and it was when I was walking through this, Max and I, we were walking through the passage to get to the entry to the water, and there was this section that had collapsed already halfway through the passage. And that was when I realized that, okay, how fragile this environment is and how much respect you need to have for the mine.
I would say pretty much the same as my colleagues. Is like we often see in those mines area the new places where they've never just arrived, like those just collapse everywhere, and you don't see those in a cave. But in mine environment, they're pretty much everywhere. So you have to be very careful. It's very easy to dislodge something and break apart part of a mine much more than it is in part of a cave.
I kind of missed the question already. Was it something hazards in mines or?
You think or realize that it's dangerous.
Ah, right. Okay. Well, I guess it's said many times. Mines and any overhead environment what we have wrecks, mines, and caves, and then wrecks and mines maybe are similar in the collapse. But also, I mean, let's add something. Is the navigational thing in mines that when you have 2D cartography maps or line maps from caves or caves they don't have that three-dimensional navigational hazards that mine has, because there you can go 10 levels down, 10 levels up, and you can travel any direction. So the navigation is not only lateral, it's going to be horizontal as well. Up and down. So that makes it extremely complex. Okay.
Okay, even with rigorous planning and redundancy, things can go wrong. Can you recall any situation where your training clashed with instinct and how you navigate that with tension?
I can start with. Okay. Hello. Yes. So that actually, I got some experience from situations in mines, and one that came first in my mind was now the collapse that we're talking about. I've had a couple of those, and they are scary when all you need to do, even with CCR, is that you ascend from one level to another level, and that creates, you need to exhale, you need to get that expanding gas out from your system, and that creates bubbles, which is any overhead environment can be a killer. So even on CCR dives, we've had like partial collapses, and it sounds really bad when, especially on the exploration dives that we've done in the recent Boya mine expeditions, when we are pushing the line into a unknown, and then you enter to a room and you see the cave system or the passage collapsing behind you, and that's where you kind of get on that instinct mode when all your training kicks in, because now it's collapsing and you don't know if you're going to get out if you go further, because you're laying new line. So then you need to react quite fast, and quite often the only reasonable solution for that situation is go back as fast as you can. You don't want to have that collapse blocking your exit. So that would be something to take with.
So my experience was the first time I entered a mine with my CCR. CCR divers will know that it's quite complex with the whole system and managing the loop and all that. So what happened was I kind of hit the bottom, and so it's tilting up. But it's such a big chamber in the Boyai mines that you see above you. Oh, visibility is really good up there. So my instinct was telling me, oh, I can go up there. But then my training then kicked in and said, oh, okay, you got to grab onto the line now. And that was a good call, because then it started silting up the whole place. And okay, so at least I have contact with the line. Yeah.
I think we can't, like, one thing that is always recurring with collapse or anything, and we can't understate it, is the need for training, and good training and constant training and awareness over those. It's like
The wolf, she cries at night. A breath had born in the black wind where the shadows lie. Deep inside despair, our hearts grow fierce, our minds aware. We carry on.
we need to be even careful into zones that have been already explored, or zone where the line has been here for long, because sometimes we may just be unlucky and have partial collapse happening. So it's also a good reminder for us to always pay attention.
Yeah, it goes along the same line. We got to remember that we can train for many things, and training skills and trying to make something a natural reaction works for so many things. But once you're in this situation, once you're in these beautiful chambers, you'll look around, it's very easy to deviate for what is the standard training. You move away. You got something I'm not used to in the cave environment. I got 20, 30 meters of visibility in this mine. It's very easy to move away from what your only reference for your exit is. And we can obviously do it to a certain extent, but you got to realize as soon as something starts going wrong, something goes a little bit awry, then that line is your way out. And we all get into trouble. Sometimes things can happen, and with this environment, the very effectively unforgiving environment, we still got to remember that the mental training of doing it and the reference of where you're going is the key thing that will keep you alive in the long run.
Understand. Okay, so the next question is, in your opinion, what is the most underestimated technical skill or soft skill even experienced diver overlook when stepping into my environment?
Soft skill, I think finning techniques, definitely. Your finning techniques need to change.
Agree.
Because in the mind, like even if you angle your fins downwards and do a frog kick, even if your frog kick is amazing, but if you angle your fins downwards just a little bit, it sends it stirs up for the person behind you quite easily, very easily, actually.
I would go for similar stuff, like any overhead environment, that propulsion and all these buoyancy trim techniques, they go for a long way. But what we like in mines, they can be like quite long sometimes, and mines are nice sometimes, and modern mines at least, especially with 5x5 tunnels that they used to drive trucks through. So you can scooter in those places, and to cover the distance, you quite often choose a scooter as your tool, and then that comes along with troubles or with something to consider, which is once again the navigation, but also helmets, which I don't recommend for cave divers if you go slow because they create troubles themselves. But when you're triggering with the scooter in the mines, you can easily hit your head, for example, on the way up. You can tear your dry suit, and that's all right in tropical mines, but do that in the where normally we do mine diving in Europe, and you do that in 40 degrees Celsius waters, and that will be a big hazard immediately there. So then it all comes down to buoyancy, trim, propulsion.
It's the whole concept of the, we can call it global or situational awareness, is realizing, understanding how much your equipment, dry suit versus wetsuit, what does that change for you? You got to actually look around, and for most technical divers or beginning divers, whatever, it's something that you don't have when you're diving in the ocean, where in any overhead environment, you got to be a lot more in reference with where is the line, where is the walls, what are we doing, where are we in relationship to anything else that's going on, and the other people, which the ocean and the big space that is such a forgiving environment to do anything in.
I agree with everything, obviously. I think that, especially for overhead environments, buoyancy and finning techniques needs to be, it shouldn't even be a skill at this point, it should be a habit. We should be able to stay neutrally buoyant at any depth, any time, regardless of if we can see in front of us or not. It should just be more of a feeling and a habit than being a skill we have to process.
Yeah, like a muscle memory.
Yeah, exactly. It's muscle memory. Like breathing underwater should be muscle memory. And if it's not yet there, then maybe mine diving is not just yet for you.
I have to agree with that. Okay, next question. It's more for photographers. Okay, as a photographer inside this environment, how do you balance aesthetic with survivals? And for instructors, how do you feel about documentation during high-risk dives?
Everything for the gram? Everything for the gram? No, I'm kidding. The team first. Team first is the most important thing. When we go and take a photo, I would say this is one of the most important things is what is the objective of the dive? Are we all diving for pictures? And then like some of the shots you see here are shots that have been, like our objective was photography. And then we basically revolve around this. Or are we having a different objective? But safety is always the most, the mine is gonna be here hopefully tomorrow. But we can't replace a team member, so safety first, and then we start to do things around.
Then I guess, yes, safety obviously paramount. How to make things more safe. One thing is equipment considerations, like what kind of cameras you are bringing in. Like quite often, if we are talking about overhead, a little bit more demanding photography, I try to tend to minimalize, like get as powerful camera as possible, but then as small lenses, domes, forget about the arms. And then also when you're lighting up the space, then you need to think about the team a lot. Like you can use light guys to light up the area, but then again, train that light guy team, that takes a year. Otherwise it doesn't work. So then there's other options, like I use Big Blue video lights myself. I drag them all in and I usually set the scene with multiple lights. It's less confusing because I know what I'm kind of like expecting from the photograph, and then once I've set the scene, then I kind of like make timetable for the team who I'm shooting to come in to save bottom time and gas, and just to make it more comfortable for them. But there's many ways of doing this, and but yeah, they kind of all are related to the safety and of course the efficiency.
I'm not a photographer, but I've been a model for Max, and I've supported him on shoots and stuff. So communication is really important. Team communication, pre-planning, briefings, basically setting the scene, and basically being able to support. It's an objective, so we have to really follow through with the objective and also plan it beforehand.
As far as the documenting of everything that's going on, obviously we now are in the lucky situation. We have a lot of tools that can help us. That means as instructors, if we're in the environment and we're teaching in the overhead environment, whether we're talking paralens or 3D cameras and stuff like that, we can be hands-free for a lot of times, which helps us in a teaching situation. But it's extremely important that we understand that every time we're doing anything in the overhead environment, your focus can be, like the guys are saying, they're doing a photo shoot. You do not combine a photo shoot and a training situation or true exploration with trying to take photos at the same time, because you might be able to have video recording, but you can't set it up for a video recording. Yeah, so the tools that we have these days to help us in analyzing situations and stuff like that obviously is valuable for us in the dive industry, in the training industry. But when we're talking about taking photos along these lines, that's truly a setup which is fully organized before you go in.
About the training, and I guess fits the question also. Like everybody, there was a part of it was for the instructors. So we value the debriefing feedback from the camera a lot. Because when you do advanced training, if you got video from the students, how did they perform, there's no argument what happened over there. And that can be, then you can point out the thing. So that's very valuable tool, a GoPro or something like this to film, but it creates that safety issue. Is the instructor now following? And the instructor should never actually take those skills on video. And therefore there should be someone else to do it, but then we come up with the Insta360 X4 thingy, fucking amazing tool, because you can now, with the little technology that we talked about earlier that is developing, you can drop in that 360 camera and then film what kind of mistakes the instructor is doing, or it's all the students following, and you can actually see everything around it and nobody's filming. So in that argument, like it takes away most of or many of the hazards that filming your students had used to. So that would be something that people should take in their toolbox.
I just want to add one thing. It doesn't mean that when training we cannot take pictures or have a photographer around. It just means also that the objective of the dive is therefore very different. And I've done a few photo shoots during training for people. But that means that sometimes we're just in a corner somewhere, like really like trying to be the most passive people in the course and not being the active there. So like a big part of exploration as well is documenting, is reporting, and well, photographers need to be here as well to be able to report what's going on during this dive. But then that means that if it's between exploration or photos, obviously exploration takes first. Obviously safety always first, but it's where, again, a very objective of the dive.
I use Insta360 as well. So, yes, I know how convenient it is. Yeah.
Hands-free systems. I love it.
Okay, let's move to the next question. So, what do you see as the future of mine exploration? Is it more about preservation, mapping, or trails?
Mapping.
I mean, it's all in stages, right? The first time you go to a new place, it's about the thrill. I mean, you guys know it. But then it has to evolve then into mapping and surveying and then, preservation, I guess. It's all three of them is applicable.
Yeah, it's because especially right now here in Asia, it's still a very, very much evolving sport. It's very niche side of what we're doing inside general dive training. So right now we gotta get people trained up so they're good enough and comfortable enough so they can come in and support us, everybody, when we are doing the exploration. The exploration then leads to the mapping because that's how it's a key tool in the actual exploration phase, yeah?
No, I agree with all of this. Also, the conservation of those environments have a big impact over our local population. So it's not only the ocean, but we get access to freshwater reserve that are also being used by people. This mine in Malaysia, we were with Anand together. Local village is taking water from it to use in the shower, to use in everyday life. And if you don't really know what's going on there, or if you don't take sample and then look into it, then it's a missed opportunity, I think, for those local community as well. So we try always to bring sample as much as we can to see where does the water come from. Is this safe? Is this an environment? And it's always a bit, it's always a bit this misconception that there is no conservation there, but there is actually a big part of it.
And all of that, yes, I think it's going to involve the future exploration, all of those elements for sure. But also then for me personally at the moment, the thrill and the preservation. But at the moment, the technology of some of you follow what we've been doing lately in the mines, we've been doing these 3D maps and digital replicas out of any overhead environment, and that's like the future part. Is something that hasn't been done that much in the past. We started 10 years ago. We waited another 5 years because the technology wasn't there then. 5 years ago, we started the project that we just finished last week or this week. It took 4 years for us to map a mine with 1,500,000 pictures in it. Now we can do these similar 3D replica maps in 3 weeks instead of 3 years. And this is something that the mapping was part of it. Is in the future, I hope it's going to be more of a standard thing that instead of, or with the line maps and online surveys and the classic mapping, we would use this digital option that the future will allow us to do even faster and more efficiently. And kind of like safe also because you can do it hands-free. But that would be my goal for future in the mines.
And we got to remember that exploration is a key thing, and it drives many of us in what we're doing. But on the conservation side of it, one of the main things that keeps us being capable of explore and train people is that we do not make many mistakes. We do keep everything here because we're relying on right now that we got to get permission to get into these mines. We got to apply for it. We got to find owners. We got to do all these things. And if people start just randomly going in, which sometimes happen, but it's why both here in Malaysia, in Thailand, we're trying to keep it reasonably controlled how many people go in, who goes in, because if people start closing down these mines so we don't get access to it, we see it in Thailand on the cave side, that due to a couple of unfortunate deaths, we have a hard time getting into national park environments, which is a huge part of our diving caves. This will happen as well inside the mine diving industry. It doesn't matter what it is. We've got to make sure that we prevent accidents, we prevent deaths, so we can keep on going in and exploring this beautiful and wonderful environment.
That brings me to one point very good point there. Like we discovered these Booyah mines, or many mines in Thailand at the moment, and then one big question was like, how can we learn from the previous fiascos from around the planet with according to mine and mine diving safety. And then there was like in Finland we used to have each mine had their own courses, level 1, level 2, level 3. So you need to go to a specific mine, do a specific course for that specific mine. Yeah. And we didn't want to do that either. But then it comes back to the training that we do. Like many people ask, like, so I'm a full cave diver. Can I come and dive in the mines? Half the planet allows you to dive in their mines, but we don't want to do that actually because of the very reason that you said that somehow you need to control the safety issue. So prefer the smaller number there is to people to actually kind of like see the quality of that diver, the better. And then instead of having your own specialty courses for specialty mine, that exact mine, there's already organizations that offer you mine diving courses. And it's like an environmental addition only to the cave and wreck training. The skills and the scenarios are pretty much the same, but it's just the environment that we can then explain, and the specific environment when we are talking about the bigger mines.
Okay, so have you ever found yourself in a moment where you thought, okay, this is it, I'm not getting out? So if you have this thought, what got you through it?
You almost die one day. You almost die in a cave one day.
I think most people at some point in time have been, especially when we start looking at serious overhead environment diving, doesn't matter if it's wreck, cave, whatever, have been in situations where you feel in over your head. How bad, how serious, obviously depends on the situation. The main thing that we train, or we try and teach, and which we got to work on ourselves, because it's not something I as an instructor at the level truly can teach you how to do. You got to work on your own abilities to keep your mind clear and to logically go through the process that you need to do, whether it's a rebreather failure, whether it's a complete sold out, loss of line, whatever it is. I've been in many situations where I'm, will this work? Will I get out? But falling back on training and falling back on the awareness of my own skills and calming myself down also gives me the edge that I can push a little bit further. But it's a very personalized training, and everybody has to do it slightly different.
In current technical diving training, you learn a lot about gas density and how it changes the deeper you go. It wasn't until I actually experienced it myself at depth that I realized that, okay, this is a thing, how do you manage it? So it's carbon dioxide narcosis. It's not, it's very scary if it hits you. It's like a feeling that you want to spit your regulator out and just want to take a deep breath, but you can't, and your instinct tells you, no, like keep it in. So you're physically holding the regulator in place and just like, okay, closing your eyes, calming yourself down. Yeah.
I'm lucky enough, I haven't had that happening to me on an overhead environment, but I had specifically one occurrence where I can remember like feeling like, okay, now it's it. In doing craft wreck very, very, very deep. And I think your mental, like how strong your mental is and how like the experience you have that you build up first with training and also through multiple deep dive and your dive career in general is where like it really kicks in and you're like, okay, actually, like I have options. Let's look into each options and check which one is actually the one I'm comfortable with executing. But yeah, that's how you do it.
I've had a few. I started mine diving almost 30 years ago in Finland, and that includes a few near escapes there. But one like I don't know, fancy one. I think with the it wasn't really much. Well, the training, the lesson comes in the end. But there's a place called Ojamo Mines in Finland, and in those mines, it's one of the biggest mines in the planet. And they have this one famous place called Hell's Gates, where it's not that far. It's maybe 600 meters into the cave, into the mine, and it's about 40 to 50 meters depth. And we're doing a big photo shoot there, and we split the team. We go with scooters in, and what happened in the end, with all this, it's 4-degree water over there, so all these undergarments on you, I didn't feel the little leak that I had in my dry suit at the beginning of the dive. Once I was in already and gaining decompression, doing a dry mix dive, taking pictures, I realized too late that okay, I'm getting completely wet with 4-degree water, and then I made a mistake not escaping immediately, but I stayed to take a few more pictures, gain more deco, and eventually had over 2 hours of deco coming out there, and then I was completely flooded with 4-degree water in my dry suit, and that's when things turn into like catastrophic. Then it was a mind game of 2 hours and of decompressing, and I felt like I want to quit. Rather go to the chamber and just quit the dive. Luckily, we had that's in Finland over there, and we had some warm drinks, because I also understand that I need to extend my dive now with trying to not to get bent. Very painful lesson about things that do your checks properly, and then once you, on those environments, if there's anything going wrong, you need to turn the dive immediately. I did get bent the next day, but almost escaped it.
Okay, I think next, and I think it's also the last questions. Let's be honest. What is one myth or glamorous idea about MIDE diving that really bothers you?
That it's beautiful and easy and yeah, crystal clear water, beautiful visibility. Just getting to the mines sometimes can be a struggle. Walking through jungles and carrying your own tanks, and the planning involved it's not easy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's mostly like people that thinks, oh, it's okay, I'm advanced rescue, dive master, instructor, open water. It's fine. It's just like the same in the open water. I just have to go in and out. Nothing can go wrong. I just have to follow the line. And it's much more complex than that.
One favorite question I get asked all the time is, do I have to carry my own tanks?
Yes, I agree.
One thing as a photographer is that people don't pay attention where they're going. It comes to navigation again, and it's super common. Cameras kill people a lot in overhead environments where you need to navigate your way out. So the most common thing is that you go to a new mine site somewhere, and then you got the local team escorting you. You're diver number 2. So you got diver number 1, 2, that's you, and then you got diver number 3. So on the way in, you can just play with your settings and not pay any attention to the environment. And then on the way out, the same thing. So you're trusting the team, and that's also something that I've learned through the heel when you don't have the team. And then also there's a big habit of navigational. People still do like visual jumps because they've done so many dives in places, and then that's where you get in trouble. If something happens, you need to find your way out. So things like this, taking things too easy and then not understanding the complex navigation or just paying attention and having awareness around you. Easy to avoid when you got crystal clear places until you silt them out.
And I have to agree, because it is the main thing we see, and it doesn't matter what level of overhead environment you're talking in. It is very easy as a normal diver to get confident in your own skills and your abilities. And it's very easy for you to just pop into that little wreck, which is very big and open, and then all of a sudden you end up in a wreck which silts out. Like my first serious incident inside the wreck was that somebody kicked the door and it closed behind me, and I'm stuck in a room in zero visibility with no lines, and I have to find a door and open it again. Water pressure. People, especially dive professionals, dive masters, instructors, who say, do you think that they know everything there is to know? And I'm sorry, but we're all still learning. And once you stop learning, that's when you start dying. We got to keep our skills on the edge. We got to realize that no matter how many times we've done this, there's always that amount of risk coming up any single time.
Yes. Okay.
I think adding to what Klaus said about keeping our skills fresh, I don't think any one of us, maybe sometimes Klaus because you do back mount CCRs, but if we're not diving in CCR, we're doing side mount, right? So we're constantly diving in this configuration just to make sure that it's, that we don't have to relearn anything. Yeah.
I think it's process. Learning is about all. So I think this is the last question. I'm going to open to the public and let them ask question to you. Anybody want to ask any questions? Oh, there.
That's just Adam.
It's okay.
So guys, what is the one particular skills that overhead in, can you hear me, Klaus? What is the one particular skills that overhead environment, during the overhead environment training that divers struggle the most?
Divers struggle.
I think task loading at the beginning is when, especially if they don't have the, I can remember from when I first started cave diving, right? I was already a very experienced instructor, side mount diver, but when you get into this kind of environment, it's the task loading at the start, at the very beginning of the journey.
Yeah, I find as somebody who teaches this all the time is that no matter how good you think you are, you're going to have a very, very quick learning experience as a student on an overhead environment course, in that the buoyancy that you thought was really, really good when you're out in the ocean is not very good. Because one thing is that you can maintain a reasonably straight line when you haven't got a reference, but when you start working related to lines, staying away from the bottoms to not tilt up and don't hit the roof, your margin of error and margin of movement is reduced a lot. So I find that buoyancy control, which is the key aspect, is what most people, no matter, I've had instructor trainers coming in for courses, and everybody mess up on it, because you're not used to being in that short, restrictive, darkish soul environment that you're in.
Oh, there's one more lady.
Thank you. I love all your pictures. It makes it look so amazing. My question is I love all your pictures. It makes it look so amazing and so beautiful. Amazing. I've been following you guys in all your dives, your crazy dives, some of them. But my question is really basic. The main sort of a difference between...
Tina, can you speak louder? We really can't.
All right. My question is quite basic. The main difference in entry level between a cave diving and a mine diving, because one is artificially created by mine activities that's redundant now, and the cave is very natural. It's a natural environment in the cave, right? And you go to mine diving, it's been dug out by past mines. What's the basic kind of a difference between the two types of diving in terms of agency, in terms of training, and what it takes to get into mine diving? I mean, your pictures are amazing. It's beautiful when you get all your lights in a pitch black environment. It's beautiful. And it's huge, some of them, So I'm just wondering, to venture into mine diving.
So the basic differences between mine diving and cave diving, right? That's a good question, yes. Often asked also, it's the environment in general. Like the skills that we train, they're pretty much the same standard as in cave diving. But then when you enter mine environment, you need to start to think about that it's man-made, the collapse. And also there's toxins that like invisible, especially when we are exploring, but still in the mine training also, you need to understand that there might be toxins that are some place of the ore might open, some areas might be not toxin, but then some areas might be. You need to understand the deterioration of the artifacts inside. And then you have complex navigation that I think I mentioned also. Very sharp objects, sometimes like it can be huge, there can be space, but you need to understand the risks of cutting your suit open, for example, because there is rusted objects. You might tie on to a wrong place. In caves, usually things are much more solid. So tie-off points in mines, it's very tempting to go to the first iron bar that you see and tie off to that, but you might just kill yourself by pulling something that is holding the roof or some other structure. So you need to avoid things like this. Navigation with compasses, they can get your inside metal structure. So your compass is digital or natural. They can start to vary. So understanding the environment in general, I think it's the main thing between the cave and mine training.
And if I can add to this, first, thank you very much for the comment, for the pictures. Very, very appreciate. If you take a basic skill like lost line procedure, the first thing you're gonna do in a cave is you're gonna try to find a way to tie off somewhere. And in a cave, it's much easier to find something to tie off to than in a mine. So you would have always with you like a spare weight with a small clip that you can actually tie off your own spool in case you have a problem, because you're not sure that where you're at, you will find something to tie off to. So even though like the skills are extremely similar, the skill set, the overhead is very similar, some skills might differ due to the environment you're in, because you're actually entering an environment that is made differently. So that's why like even though being a cave diver is something like very similar, there is as well like very small detail that are actually gonna be able to save your life in case something goes wrong in those courses.
And then I get the last thing to cover up that very long question, because there was a lot of aspects, is that each agency obviously have their features and their key parts of it. I teach through 3-4 different agencies. You got to do your research on what style it is, because they will all have slightly different requirements to walk into it and to start your course. And that's the prime thing in any diver training, and it's not just technical training, overhead training, is that you should look for the instructors that can give you what you need and can do the best training for you. And that doesn't really necessarily tie up in the agency, but agencies have certain prerequisites that may make it easier or more difficult for you to step into the course. The end outcome hopefully should be the same, making you a very, very comfortable and competent diver in the environments that we take you into.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thanks for the questions. I have a screen says time's up, so I guess we need to wrap up. Thank you for coming for this discussion. It's an interesting one. Thank you.
Right, round of applause, please. That was a panel discussion on technical diving, mine diving. So, in the meanwhile, moving along to our last presenter or presentation is going to be brought to you by Robin Filippo, and the topic is From Rubble to Reef, Rehabilitation, Sloping Reefs After Blast Fishing Using 3D Printing Without a Printer Inside. So, join us, and after this presentation, we'll be having the lucky draw. So, stand by.